Hello folks, welcome back to AHGP, welcome back to F1 Manager, where we're doing a little bit of an experiment today. Something I thought I'd try out, have a little bit of fun, and also I'm going to discuss the Las Vegas Grand Prix. So if you're in the chat, say hello. If you're watching after the fact, leave a comment and leave a like on the stream as well. That would help it out, and just send it into the algorithm to be pumped out to other people, and that would get more people here in the streams as well. So let's explain what I'm doing. You can see F1 Manager on the right hand side of the screen. So what I've done is I've used a wheel spinner to basically randomize the F1 grid. I'll take you through that in a moment, and we're just going to play through basically and see what happens and see if drivers can overcome the machinery that they've been given. And we're going to be controlling one team and one driver pairing to see how we do with them. We'll see if we can do, well, I know we can do some developments with the car, of course. Maybe we can win the championship. I'm not really bothered about that. It's more to see what happens with the other drivers. Although we do have the pairing that I've chosen to manage does have an interesting story. And the hint is that they've already been teammates before. So, you know, that, and I'll give you an extra bit. There was friction as well when they were teammates. So we might have to manage a little bit of animosity between them. But I also want to discuss the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It's been an interesting weekend. Lots been said. Lots happened. And we've not even got to race day yet. We had qualifying this morning. And the race is actually in just a few hours. So let me know your thoughts on the Vegas race as a whole. Is it sort of going as expected? Obviously, there was going to be a lot of show to it, because you can't go to Vegas and it just be a plain old race weekend. You've got to sort of hype it up and do the Vegas thing, I suppose. It's what they do. You can't, like, if you're going to just a normal racetrack, if you're going to Spa, it doesn't work there, does it? Really, you're there for the racing. The location demands, well, the location dictates what you do, and Vegas is the same. So let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts about the circuit. Of course, it does look like an upside down pig. It's just, yeah, it's one of those weird, quirky things about the circuit layout. I kind of like it. I think it works. I think we should get lots of overtaking in the race tomorrow. Although, if you're watching this after the fact, you can tell me how wrong I probably was, because I've just put the curses on it. And of course, the big talking point is Carlos Sainz's penalty. I have some opinions on that might not be particularly popular, but I'll leave it at the moment, as I'm not against Carlos Sainz. I do feel sympathy for him. Now, let's start with the F1 Manager side of things. What I'm going to do is get rid of the game capture here first, and then I'm going to load it up, because I don't want to spoil who we're managing to start with. Of course, however this pans out, this could become a multi-season save. And we're not going to be paying too much attention to the racing itself, if that makes sense. I want this to be a discussion. I want this to be, you know, kind of just see what happens, basically. And yeah, let's change the scene here. Right, I can change this. It looks like I'm getting some encoding overload. Hopefully that's not going out on the stream. Let me know if it is. I've got the chat up here, so let's just switch to gameplay, and then I can start showing you who is in our team. So that's the calendar, of course. Got my chat on my second screen. So we are managing Ferrari. Here's our two drivers, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. So yeah, like I said, friction when they were Alpine teammates. And also Fernando Alonso returning to Ferrari. They're reunited in more ways than one here at Ferrari. Alonso and Ocon, they're not the best of buddies, I think it's safe to say. And it's probably safe to say that Fernando Alonso has unfinished business with Ferrari in terms of winning a world championship, and that elusive third world championship. Perhaps our aim in this is to get that third title for Fernando Alonso. We've got the Bahrain Grand Prix coming up in 11 days, but let's have a look at the rest of the grid. How am I going to do this? Let's do it this way. Let's just go to championship. Right. Drivers. Max Verstappen is at Mercedes. I mean, this is an alternate universe, isn't it? What could have been, eh? You know, if he'd been prepared to do GP2 as it was at the time, Formula 2, maybe he would have ended up in a Mercedes seat. As you can see, Charles Leclerc in a Red Bull. And Charles is joined at Red Bull by this guy, Lewis Hamilton. Have you seen a more cursed picture? It's just blah. Ugh. Ugh. I'm not even sure. I can't even look at it. It doesn't look right at all. Yeah. So Leclerc and Hamilton are the Red Bull pair. Who's Verstappen's teammate at Mercedes, you ask? It's not George Russell, because you can see he's at AlphaTauri. And it's not Sergio Perez, he's at McLaren. Carlos Sainz has gone back to Alpine. Lando Norris makes it a British pair at AlphaTauri. This is nuts, isn't it? I mean, just look at it. It just doesn't... None of it looks right. Valtteri Bottas has gone back to Williams, mullet and all. So the second Mercedes seat is taken by Pierre Gasly. So Verstappen's former Red Bull teammate joins him at Mercedes. Kevin Magnussen makes it two drivers returning to Alpine. They're joining Carlos Sainz there. Lance Stroll's at Haas. Yuki Tsunoda's ended up at Aston Martin potentially 3 years early if Honda have their way. Zhou Guanyu is still at Alfa Romeo. I think he's like the only driver who remained where he was. Alex Albon's at McLaren with Perez, so two ex-Red Bull drivers there. I think Nick De Vries is just the Red Bull reserve driver, because I believe Daniel Ricciardo's here. He is. Hulkenberg goes back to Williams, so two ex-Williams rookies going back to the team. Sadly, Oscar Piastri got randomised to Alfa Romeo, so they've got a Season 2 guy and a rookie, neither of whom are particularly good on the game. Logan Sargent has ended up at Aston Martin. So you've got two drivers who just love to lock up and crash and destroy things in what is the second fastest car at the start of the save. And then Daniel Ricciardo has taken his grid to Haas and to America, so maybe he'll make Haas a little bit more popular. So we'll just sort of play through here, and I'm not going to do any developments. We'll flick through all of this. We'll just go straight to the race. So once we get underway, I'll start discussing Vegas a little bit more. There's Lauren Mekies, who's actually leaving to go to AlphaTauri. Do we need to bother with any performance targets? Not really. I'm not that interested in it. Let's just play. And I'll give you my circuit thoughts on Vegas now. I like it. I think there's enough of like a trade-off between how much downforce you want and how much drag you want to reduce to make it interesting. So you might just get a little bit of a split. I don't think they're going to be running like super thin Monza-style wings because they need the downforce for the slow corners. Like turn 1 and turn 3, the right-hander, they're really important to get right, because if you don't, then we'll just simulate qualifying here. Because if you don't get them right, you could be under pressure all the way down that first DRS straight. Lewis Hamilton topping the times in practice 3 ahead of Charles Leclerc. Fernando Alonso actually third. So Ferrari looking okay here. So yeah, I think there's enough of a trade-off in terms of the setup. And the layout of the corners looks quite good. I think, you know, there's that high-speed S into the hard braking zone before the strip We're also going to simulate qualifying because we're just going to go to the race here. I mean, if you want more of the racing, more of the qualifying action, then let me know in the comments or in the chat, and just we'll sort of play this by ear. In fact, we have topped qualifying 3. We have locked out the front row. Well, that wasn't anticipated. Red Bull with their insane car, and Hamilton and Leclerc, this doesn't bode well for them because Verstappen always ends up on pole. Although he's 8/10 slower than Alonso here, who's taken pole for Ferrari by 0.3 of a second. Hamilton actually 3 thousandths slower than Ocon. Did we top every session? No, Hamilton went slower in Q3 than he did in Q2. That's interesting. Alonso found 0.6. That was basically a mega lap. Anyway, so yeah, the hard braking zone for the left-hander before the strip, I think, really sets that up nicely, because if you had a really long corner onto it, there's no point. It's now, you've got to get your braking right. If you make a mistake there, again, you're going to be under pressure. You're probably going to get overtaken. And they've got that dueling on the brakes. I think we're going to see a lot of overtaking actually into turn 1. So drivers will be looking to try and get the DRS. I'm not sure where the detection point is on the circuit, but they might be trying to get DRS for... it's asking us to go soft, medium. Let's do this. Soft, medium, soft. That'll do. We'll just do that. We'll have to play a little bit here. We can't just let it do itself, which would be great if you could just sit back and watch the races and then just let all the chaos unfold. That would be fantastic. Right, let's do a motor race. But yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of gamesmanship for the DRS detection points, and that could make things kind of interesting. Okay, let's get this race underway. 5 red lights, the lights are out, the race is on, and what's happening in this scarlet front row? It looks like Ocon might have got himself a lead here. He's got the inside line, and Alonso is going to resist it. They're still side by side. Neither of them's going to give an inch. I mean, imagine if they just crashed in the first race. It'd be hilarious. Looks like Alonso... No, I thought he had nosed ahead. They're just going to be side by side the entire way, by the look of it. The 2 Red Bulls are behind us. Let's see what happens. What's the rest of the order? The 2 Alfa Romeos, unsurprisingly, at the back. George Russell is 16th, Norris 18th, which again is not unsurprising. Logan Sargent up in 9th in an Aston Martin. We are pulling away. DRS is now enabled. We can probably throttle back on pushing. Just going to let them race, to be honest. Let's go balanced on the fuel. I'll turn the ERS battle assist on.
Okay, understood.
And then we'll just make sure that tyre temperatures don't get too high. But I think it's been an interesting circuit in Vegas, and that's not just to spite Max Verstappen, who clearly doesn't like the place for some reason. On that, I mean, I think he just needs to wise up in terms of where they are and why they go there. I mean, fans don't like certain circuits because of different reasons. I'm not going to enjoy all the razzmatazz, but it comes with the ticket. Paying fans need to go there and get an experience, and that's something that also has happened this weekend, is the fans not getting an experience on Friday. And the way F1 have handled that has been shoddy, but not unsurprising. They didn't handle the Belgium debacle in 2021 all that well. I don't remember how that resolved itself. I believe they gave them free tickets for the following year's race, but let me know on that if anyone knows different. So it's about giving fans the experience. Fans want to see the drivers. There is a balance to be had. They are sports people at the end of the day, and it's important that they devote themselves to their sport. But they do need to give back to the fans, and I don't think Verstappen has quite got that. He was talking about the sport that he fell in love with, and of course I fell in love with the sport as well, but you know, there's different reasons why people fall in love with the sport, and you kind of have to cater to everybody. You have to give them all a little bit. So yeah, it's just for me it just sounds like he's being a bit, I don't know, spoiled really. And considering everything this year has gone his way, I think he could just let it slide a little bit. Not every track is going to be that interesting. Remember Sochi? Not an interesting circuit, but you know, we still went to race there and the drivers just got on with it, to be honest. I think that's all you need to do. Talking of getting on with it, our Ferrari pair are still first and second. They've changed positions a few times while I've been talking. I might just speed this up a little bit more, and we are drastically actually over-consuming our tyres. Let's have a look at everybody else. Yeah, we are chomping through our tyres. Leclerc is actually pushing on with his as well. Hamilton's looked after his. We've got a crash.
There was a crash. There is debris on the track over there.
That is an Alpha Tauri, I think, that went off the track. Or was it a McLaren? It's a McLaren of Albon who's got damage. Did he collect George Russell? He might have, you know. Yeah, George Russell's got damage as well. So half of the Twitch quartet have made a collision there. And George Russell has got himself a penalty. We at the front are leading with Esteban Ocon. Lewis Hamilton is just behind. Honestly, I kind of thought Hamilton would disappear in the Red Bull, and Leclerc too, but I'm seriously impressed with Esteban Ocon right now. He's doing a great job. Kudos to him, but he's about to lose the lead to Alonso, which I'm sure he's going to hate. Let's speed this towards the first pit stops then. Hopefully we don't get a puncture before that. Changing positions. Hamilton's still there. Leclerc just a second and a half behind. And now in our pit stop window. And obviously we've got to favour one driver over the other. So whoever's in the lead when they get optimal pit stop lap, I think I'll just pit them first, to be honest. Could be Ocon, because he's currently in the lead. Let's see. Or is it Alonso? It is Fernando Alonso. So he's going to get first dibs on the tyres. And then Ocon the lap after. There we go. Let's speed this up. Pit stop starting to happen. What else have I got on here? Well, the Sainz penalty, which I'll cover probably in a little while. But first of all, Charles Leclerc, pole position this morning in qualifying. Leclerc has just overtaken Ocon, actually. What happened there? I missed it. Norris pit stop issue. We need to probably be aggressive on our tyres. Is Leclerc on softs? No, he's not. He's just fast at the moment. Hamilton has not stopped. Leclerc, this is what happens with Leclerc on this game. He just produces these magic laps when his confidence is really high and just does this. He's just blasted past Alonso. That was very interesting. And now he has the net lead of this race. That is interesting. And he's going to pass the Mercedes of Max Verstappen, a sentence no one thought they would hear today. Let's see how the rest of this race unfolds. Verstappen and Hamilton longing it out. Hamilton will end up behind even Ocon there. So that's interesting. Even had a pit stop issue. Red Bull are revolting against the fact that they've got to deal with Lewis Hamilton, the bloke who's been making their last sort of 10 to 12 years a living hell. Alonso now overtaking Verstappen, but he is... Oh, Ocon! Dude! You were doing so well! What happened here? He's all on his own as well. No pressure. And just... I mean, honestly, he could have got back on the circuit there. They need to improve that. And he's a bit sweary. We'll have none of that on this channel. Thank you very much. Hello to Misty in the chat. Wait, what happened to the Mercedes career? Don't worry about the Mercedes career. That's still happening during the week. Although I went to start editing the first episode this afternoon. And I had no mic audio. So basically I had to use a wheel spinner for a part of the setup for it. And I think I'd clicked something to turn the mic off to make sure there was no audio on there. And it basically detached the setting in OBS. So the first 2 episodes I've got to go through and edit as normal. And then I've got to voice over them. So it's going to take... It might take a little bit longer than anticipated to get them out. But they're coming. The Mercedes career isn't gone. It's still going to be here. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's still coming. The season finale of Season 2 is on Monday. So make sure you tune in for that as Fernando Alonso takes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. He overtakes Charles Leclerc. You know, the classic DRS move into Turn 1 in Bahrain. Alonso got his own helmet on. Looks like it. Let's go through everybody and see if they've got their normal helmets on. That looks like the normal helmet for Alonso. It's kind of normal. Lewis has got his helmet. I think that's just a generic Red Bull one for Leclerc. Oh no, tell me like this is actually a better angle to see it. Yeah, I mean they... Oh my god, look at this. Verstappen is wearing a Red Bull branded helmet in a Mercedes car. That is unbelievable. Yeah, the mic issue was a bit of a pain, but I mean, it is what it is. I just have to get on with it, unfortunately. I'll fix the problem. It's not catastrophic, so it'll be fine. AHGP to replace Toto Wolff 2024 in my opinion. I mean, I know nothing about how to design an F1 car, but I've got lots of passion and I care a lot. So, I mean, you think Toto thumping the table, that table will be thrown with bad results if I was the team boss. Let's get back to going through the helmets. Ocon, yeah, that's his helmet. I think they've got them, you know, as they should do. We're actually joining an overtake here by Kevin Magnussen. Let's just enjoy this for a moment. He's on softs against the medium shod Mercedes of Gasly. It's a bit tight through there, but Magnussen, the Viking, gets through. Tsunoda in the Aston Martin, actually doing a good job. He stayed on the track for 30 laps. In every save game that I play, he seems to lock up or have an accident at least once a week. There's Carlos Sainz behind him in his Ferrari helmet. Logan Sargent in the top 10. We love to see it. Lance Stroll is actually trying to take that away from him. Yeah, it looks like... has Danny Rick got his own helmet? Or is that just... I think that might be his helmet. Sadly, you don't get like a rear-facing shot of them. I don't think that's Ricciardo's helmet because he's not actually in the game. Let's see what Bottas's helmet looks like. Is it just his bare bottom? Ocon has now overtaken Verstappen. He's recovering back up the order. We will come back to what's happening at the front. Once we've, there we go, a Red Bull branded helmet in a McLaren for Sergio Perez. Hulkenberg in the Haas. Lando's helmet in the AlphaTauri is pretty cool. Joe, that's just his normal helmet. Leclerc has retaken the lead. This is. Can you stop talking? This is interrupting my show of all the different helmets. Oh, if George Russell's helmet was the same navy blue as the AlphaTauri, that would be perfect. And then you've got Alex Albon in the Williams. Right, that'll do for now. That's the helmet stuff done and dusted. You're studying hard to become a Mercedes F1 engineer so we can take over Mercedes together. You will be my technical director, Misty. You will be my first port of call because I know nothing about how to design an F1. Oh, George Russell has locked up. I mean, I'll blame that on the car because we've seen at Mercedes what he can do with a good car. Fernando Alonso showing how good he is with a good car. Is this the best car he ever drove in his all life? Maybe. Maybe if we say no more races without a podium, it'll really happen on here because we're in control. We can do it. And Leclerc takes the lead, but that's fine. We'll have DRS. Second round of pit stops will be coming up in a few laps. So Misty, is that genuine? Are you studying to become an engineer, or
going slightly up.
So where is that leading? Because if you genuinely are, that would be amazing. We have a yellow flag again. Oh, SD! You are not the bestie. What is this? This is an absolute clown show from Esteban. Oh dear. Deary me. That was... I mean, we started on the front row. And now here comes a wild Gasly to take P4. His real life teammate taking the position from him. Leclerc has just boxed for softs. So he's going to get the undercut on us. But I think we will probably catch him towards the end of the race. We haven't even reached our optimal lap yet to stop. Another yellow flag. Leclerc with a lock-up! That surely hands us the win. In the final sector. And, oh, chuckles. Deary me. Alright, let's get back to warp speed mode on the mini-map. Alonso's looked after his tyres pretty well. And it's a used set of tyres that's going to go on. Esteban, let's bring you in now. He'll stop a lap earlier. Let's see where Fernando Alonso pops out in all of this. Ocon is behind. He's actually behind Logan Sargent, although Sargent needs to stop. Good stop actually from Ferrari, 2.6 seconds. Lewis Hamilton now takes the lead. That's Leclerc taking the fastest lap and ahead of us, but his tyres are wrecked in comparison. We can actually push on the engine. We might as well deploy for a little bit while we're here, because we can. So Alonso hopefully will catch Leclerc. We've got 15 laps to go. Let's have a look at the gap. Leclerc with the fastest lap. I'm sure Alonso's about to smash that. We've got a purple first sector. We've got a purple middle sector. Not a personal. It wasn't even a personal best final sector. Did he run out of battery? Probably. He's actually used all of his fuel now. Hulkenberg locking up. Battery empty.
Just a reminder on garage. Copy.
But I'm sure we're about to take the lead. Hamilton's actually still out. Is Hamilton going to the end, do you think? I mean, I've seen Lewis Hamilton pull off some minor miracles in Formula One. this would be one of them. As Alonso goes up the inside and taking what, well, I thought he was taking second place. Looks like he is. He's just forced Leclerc and then handed the position back. That was bizarre. If we get him to drive in clean air, he might be able to get through. The tyres too hot, maybe? Possibly. Is Hamilton coming in? Hamilton's only a couple of seconds up the road. I wonder if he's going to pit this lap. No. Everyone's got DRS thanks to the back markers. Anyway, I'm taking this bit far too seriously. Trying to win with Ferrari and Fernando Alonso. I mean, historically I've not been fond of Ferrari. The old enemy and all that. And Fernando Alonso is someone I've kind of flip-flop on my opinion of. I think he's a fantastic driver, but he does do and say things that make you wonder sometimes. Leclerc has caught his teammate. Surely team orders from here, although Alonso's right on their tail and now is second. And surely he's about to take the lead. What are Hamilton's tyres like? 51%. I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility that Hamilton makes this work. That said, we've just swept around the outside. So, you know, Ferrari for the win. Forza Ferrari. And let's just take it to the checkered flag. Ocon's going to finish 5th behind Verstappen, who's 30 seconds off the lead battle. Leclerc now passing Hamilton. Can we get Ocon past Verstappen, do you think? I mean, could Verstappen be defending any harder? Here comes Ocon, DRS, it's no contest from there. There we go, we were deploying as well. Which would explain a little bit of that. Just the 30 seconds to make up for Ocon then, if he wants to be on the podium. But I don't think that's going to happen. He might not even get away from Verstappen, to be honest. Alonso is now 7 seconds in the lead, if I saw that correct. He is, yeah. 7 seconds in the lead over Leclerc, who does have the fastest lap.
Look after the front tires.
We're not going to bother with that. We're going to see this through to the end, and I think we're going to get a winning start as Ferrari manager. Well, I say Ferrari manager, Ferrari team principal. Right. A few laps to go. 1 lap to go even. Where's Alonso? He is just starting the final lap now. We're going to win by almost 10 seconds in the end. Hamilton's one-stop strategy is going to get him a podium. But it's shades of 2010 all over again. Fernando Alonso wins on his debut with Ferrari.
Yes, baby.
Yes, baby, indeed.
And B1.
And B1! Excellent. That's what we're here for. The B1. Leclerc and Hamilton round out the podium. Ocon takes 4th. I mean, he could have been right in that if he hadn't been a bit of a doofus at the final corner a couple of times. We found some fighting spirit. I mean, you were just fighting. I don't know what you were fighting today, to be honest, Ocon. But that's the first race of this randomised F1 grid. It's obviously going to be dictated by the car performance. And I have got it on standard, but you know, maybe we could put it to hard, so it's just a little bit more of a challenge. Maybe the other teams catch up. Wiki Tiki 123. Alonso is a great character and driver, but I doubt it would be fun to work with him. Yeah, I mean, I think he would be a little bit of a tricky customer, and they're the stories that I've heard. You know, if you are with him, you get 100% from him. But if you're working sort of not directly with him, or you're against him almost actively, then he is like the worst person to be around. He's just so driven in what he wants to achieve. And it's basically self-combusted within his own career. You think 2007, if he'd hung on in 2014 with Ferrari for 15... Well, if he'd got to 2017 with Ferrari, I think he would have done a better job than Seb Vettel would have, or did. And in the 18 Ferrari, he would probably have won the World Championship. That said, Hamilton was on a bit of a crusade by that point. Although we might be about to get Fernando his third World Championship now. He leads the drivers' standings. We are 3 points ahead of Red Bull. So that's round one done. He's such a fascinating character, isn't he, Fernando Alonso? He's just, like I said, some of the things he does make you want to tear your hair out, because it's just like, why would you say or do something like that? But then he'll pull out these unbelievable performances, like his defense against Perez in Brazil. He almost had no right to be able to be on the podium, but yet there he was, spraying the champagne at the end of it. ATR starts today, so I don't know, let's design... I mean, this car does have side pods, unlike the Mercedes. Let's... where are we weakest? Let's just have a look at the old car analysis. Where are we weakest? Chassis is okay. Front wing, we need some high speed on the front wing. Rear wing is okay, we need high speed on the rear wing though. Underfloor, we just need high speed performance really. Okay. Cool. High speed it is. Let's do this. And then we'll put 15 hours into it. There we go. High speed please. And we want all of this. All of this. Just make a specialised part. High speed goes up 2. Wonderful. So we'll do that on rushed. And then we'll just throw engineers at it, because we're Ferrari and we can. So, hello to Big Chungus in the chat. That's my friend Tom Downey from the GridTalk podcast, which make sure you tune in. I think it's 9 o'clock tomorrow. Tom, you might be able to correct me on that. We're going live after the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which I will be a guest on the podcast for. So we'll be discussing all of the events of Vegas tomorrow morning on the GridTalk podcast channel. I think that's GridTalk UK. You can find it on all social media platforms. I'm just going to design a rear wing here while I give the podcast a plug. What could possibly go wrong with a random grid? Well, as you can see, nothing, because we're Ferrari and we're being managed by someone who's competent, he says. The wiki tiki, it's a little confusing, but he seems like a bit of a restless personality, which is why he's constantly moving, even if it's to his detriment. I think it's not restless. I think he's just relentless. And I think just maybe the mechanics and the engineers and the design team maybe can't keep up with that. He's so demanding of everyone around him and himself that it just, people can't keep up with him, basically. That's maybe how I'd put it. But I think with Aston Martin, he's found a place that's going to match his ambitions and will stop at nothing to achieve them. As you've seen, they've spent big, they've made that big step. I mean, the only thing, and everyone knows it, the only thing holding Aston Martin back is Lance Stroll. You put, I don't know if Djokovic would have done a better job this year because he'd have been a rookie, but you know, you put, I don't know, an Alex Albon in there, and suddenly you've got at least third in the championship, maybe even second, because let's face it, Mercedes are second because they know how to execute their races, and they've got two brilliant drivers. At no point have they had the second best car. So, you know, let's just quickly design some more underfloor. Yeah, have all the remaining hours and just have it all. There you go. High speed. minimum lifespan, maximum airflow sensitivity, drag reduction as well. If you get lots of blue numbers, that's good on this game. That's just how I judge it. Spend the monies. The euros. Okay, so we're going to go to Jeddah. And again, we'll just skip through practice and everything. I'm going to do... Big chunk of you little cutie. Yes, it's GridTalk UK, and yes, it's at 9 AM. Glad I remembered that, because I'd be concerned if I hadn't got that right. Bearing in mind I'm on the show. Do we want to change the front wing deadline? No, we're just, because we're Ferrari, we're going to keep spending. Any dilemma, we're just going to spend our way out of it, because we're Ferrari and we can. Right, I'm going to do a poll, hopefully. Can I add a poll in the chat here? Via this. Start a poll. Yes, right. I'll just move my notes out of the way. So feel free to vote in this. And I want your opinions as well. So when you vote, obviously click it, but then tell me in the chat why you have voted the way you have. And I've just noticed that there is something of a pun to this poll, because it regards pole position, and the bloke on pole position, Charles Leclerc. Will Charles Leclerc finally win a race from pole position? I believe it's 11 in a row that he hasn't won from pole in, or 11 or 12 start poles. So let me know, yes or no, will Charles Leclerc win the race from pole position? We say that Aston Martin are ambitious, but they persist with Stroll, who's proven he has a performance cap. Yes, there's not a budget cap at Aston Martin, there is a performance cap on the second driver. I mean, it's well documented. Lance Stroll isn't going to be... I mean, on the right day, he might win a race or two if the Aston Martin is fast enough. But is he going to be world champion? Realistically, no. Because you're going to have to ask Fernando Alonso to not win and let Lance through. It would just be a mess. So there's that. But we also know that he's in the team because his dad owns the team. And honestly, if I had that amount of money and my son was relatively good at something, I would do everything I could to fund that and help that. So, I mean, we don't really know the dynamic of it, if it's Lance leading it or Lawrence leading it, but that's the situation. I think the only way it resolves itself is if Lance decides he's had enough and he walks away. Then Aston Martin become a different proposition. But all the time they've got Lance in the team, I think he's a little bit of an anchor around their hopes in the Constructors' Championship. But if they design a good enough car, and for Fernando Alonso, you've got a driver there who is capable of winning the World Championship. We've got a vote for no. No, he won't, says Tom. How many right days does Lance have in his locker over the course of a season? In terms of things going his way, maybe 5 or 6. But in terms of him being on it and extracting the most out of the car, probably around the same, to be honest. Because, I mean, it was weird because he was so good at the start of the season despite having those injuries. But yeah, he's gone off the boil in the second half of the season. It's very, very strange. So, Tom, tell me why Charles Leclerc isn't going to win the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Personally, I mean, I feel like Charles has got... This is the best chance Charles has had all season. I think Ferrari have an edge over Red Bull this weekend. And I think Charles is a man on a mission, considering everything that's happened to him this season. He's had the full grand slam of failures to finish. The did not finish, obviously. The did not start. And the disqualification. Never been done before. I mean, that's... I don't know if that's something to be proud of. Who knows? Right. Are we going to get Why is Hamilton in a Red Bull? I know. It's so cursed. It's disgusting. Look at it. Oh no, we can't see it. But Charles Leclerc's on pole position. Lewis Hamilton joins him on the front row. I think 3 out of 5. I think 3 to 5 out of 22. That's not good enough. And it's not like the car isn't there. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Wiki Tiki. Lance's good days are few and far between. Ferrari's strategy is going to be their biggest obstacle. Do you know what? I think Ferrari have kind of sorted their strategy side out, because this year they didn't have the car and that expectation to go and perform, so they've just kind of relaxed. I think as soon as you put the pressure back on, they might start to buckle a bit. But I think if you put Charles Leclerc in a different environment, like a Red Bull, this happens. You know, he's very fast. Arguably, and in my opinion, the fastest man over a single lap in the sport right now. Tom, have you seen this? Max Verstappen in a Mercedes. The Fezzer will also burn up its rear tyres. Well, I don't think that'll happen because it's so cold out in Vegas. The tyres won't necessarily overheat. It's not, and the thing is, you've not got prolonged corners putting too much energy through the tyres. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how the tyre strategy pans out. Ocon's 4th. I didn't pay attention to where he was. Our car setup is atrocious, but who cares? I didn't do the driver options, so we're going to be terrible off the line. Let's see if we can make it 2 wins out of 2. And we've got 5 red lights. The lights are out, race is on. Lewis Hamilton looks like he's made a decent start. No, he hasn't. He's made a terrible start. And let's get Alonso going aggressive. Push.
Try to increase
deploy. We're actually side by side again on the opening lap. Ocon loving these first lap battles with Alonso, although admittedly Ocon is on soft tyres. And the Red Bulls, my word, look at this. Christian Horner is having an aneurysm. They're side by side through the S's in Jeddah. Hamilton looks like he's taking the lead. I mean, could you imagine the new bosses at Red Bull like, yeah, let's just sign Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes. Do you reckon Christian Horner would resign in protest? Feel dirty seeing #blessed in a Red Bull. It's weird. I felt a bit uncomfortable actually seeing it as well. It just didn't look right. Max and a Mercedes looked a bit odd too. But yeah, Hamilton's taken the lead. You see the 44 on the Red Bull, and it looks weird seeing it in red. Strange. Anyway, we are not as quick as the Red Bulls today, I don't think. We're already a second behind. But that's not really why we're here. We're here to discuss Vegas and everything in between. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'd discuss the Carlos Sainz grid penalty at some point, and I'm going to do it now. I mean, I feel for the bloke.
Just a reminder on
it's not his fault.
Okay.
At all. The circuit should have been in a condition for the cars to run, but honestly, it could have been anybody. Could have been anybody. He was just the unlucky guy who pulled up the manhole cover and got his car damaged. And the thing is, I don't think you can have force majeure. First of all, it's not in the rules. And if you did it for one, you'd have to do it for everyone. And the drivers have been referencing accident damage, and we had this in 2021 when Perez lost an engine in Hungary when Bottas went bowling. So Horner would love it because he'd be working for him. Yeah, I mean, you know, poacher turned gamekeeper, isn't it? It's just the way of that's the way of Formula One. Like back in the day, the top drivers used to move to the big teams all the time. Like Alain Prost drove for Ferrari, Williams, and McLaren, the top 3 teams of the 80s and 90s. It's just, you know, it wouldn't happen nowadays. These top drivers are locked down to their contracts. Back to the Sainz thing. Back in 21, Perez lost that power unit, and Red Bull were like, "Oh, we want the extra budget and this, that, the other. And they're always scrapping over the extra cash because of the sprints and damage. So, you know, this is the problem with having an elongated season, but then asking the teams to spend less. When things like this happen, they go, well, actually, we don't want to be penalised, but they've still got to spend the money, and that all comes out cost cap, doesn't it? So it's a very fine line. I don't think they should change the rules really, because it's the sport. You know, the way I put out on a tweet, and it's probably not very popular. And in my head, my theory is correct as Ocon takes Alonso for third place. Like, in Brazil, they had drivers getting punctures. Alonso actually got a puncture, and it was because of a screw on track. There was like weird things on the track. So, in that case, surely teams that were getting punctures from the screws should have been given an extra set of tyres. But they don't do that because, one, the tyres aren't available and it costs too much to transport them, and they're trying to reduce costs by lugging less tyres to certain races. And no one was really kicking up a fuss then about it. Only because it's an engine and everything, and I think teams would exploit it as well. And how do you define fault? Obviously, if a driver was taken out and the opposing driver was given a penalty, yes, then you could allow that. But what if there was no penalty applied? You know, that's my reasoning for it anyway. I mean, feel free to disagree. Let's have an open discussion about it. Obviously, keep it sort of fair and respect everyone's opinions. Wiki Tiki says the FIA have shown clear favouritism to Red Bull Racing for a while now, and I think they're being unfair to science because that manhole cover is under their purview. Absolutely, the FIA should be at least supporting Ferrari with this cost. But then, like I said earlier, you say you do that with one, you've got to do it with everybody. And I just think if they were to do it, it would open a can of worms and all the teams would be after it. I think maybe the solution is to allow them 4 power units. And this is what they're trying to do with the 26 rules as well, is make them less expensive. And then maybe you could go to 4 power units for the season. I mean, honestly, 3 power units for 22, 23 races is ridiculous. And the reliability nowadays is fairly bulletproof. We've got a crash in Jeddah. Who's in the wall? Let's have a look. Is it one of the... It's Pierre Gasly. Toto Wolff smashed the table. I mean, there's carbon confetti. That was a big bit that the Haas just hit. But that was Logan Sargent he was tangled with. We'll skip the replay of that. Yeah, so I just think it's a wormhole that F1 doesn't need to go down. As Alonso overtakes Ocon, he's not actually reached his. Oh.
Be careful with
Whoops.
the tires.
Copy.
You know what? Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to put Ocon onto a 2-stopper. Time penalty for Logan Sargent.
Hit confirm and box.
Don't. I didn't see where Sargent finished in the last race. Talking of signs, he's at Alpine and in 7th position. Ocon into the pit lane. Now we'll just push with the tyres on a 2-stop. Be really aggressive. He's overtaken control. Let's turn his overtake aggression up as well and see what's going on. We just don't have the pure pace to beat the Red Bulls today. Their lap times, well, they're 3/10 slower than Hamilton, but I think they're just trading DRS, to be honest. Name it as special circumstances or ensure that it's an isolated event, amending the rules, I'm not sure. Yeah. But the thing is, you've got to... There's this whole narrative in Formula One about precedent being set. And we've seen it with the whole pit lane queuing thing, where it seems a precedent has been set, but they don't really follow it. I think it would be because you're allowing someone to have something for free, essentially, with no sporting penalty. Yeah, they might have to pay the financial penalty, but Sainz would still be on the front row, and that then helps them potentially take second away from Mercedes in the constructors, and that costs tens of millions of dollars. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's got to be a level playing field, I think. By all means, put it into the rules for next year that the stewards can have a force majeure for something that is outside of the team's control. If it's an FIA track issue or something, then yeah, why not? So maybe have that in the rules. But for this weekend, I think their hands are tied. I think they've done the only thing they can, which is apply a 10 place grid penalty. That said, where would you like to have a 10 place grid penalty most? I think Vegas would maybe be in the top 3 or 4 because of the big straight down the back, the like mile long straight on the strip. So I think Carlos will do just fine tomorrow. The Ferrari has been fast. He'll come through. Yeah, it's probably robbed him of a chance to win the race, but you never know. This could be a wacky, wild race tomorrow morning, and who knows what can happen. You could see the guy, well, say the guy starting in 12th, which is Sainz, winning the race, which honestly wouldn't be a surprise to me if there was a safety car at the right time. If he ended up on the golden strategy because he was able to pit having been further down the order, it would be what penalty? It would have played into his hands, weirdly. Talking of playing into your hands, Esteban Ocon now leads the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix by 3 seconds, but he is going to need to pit for another set of softs. I'm just going to edit his strategy here. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. Maybe lap 37. There you go. Cool. On you go, SD. Please don't crash and be a doofus in this race. The whole precedent thing has been muddled because of their own incompetence. After Abu Dhabi 21, I've given up on the idea of precedent. Well, I think the teams have as well, because they are doubtful about the FIA's competency when it comes to running the sport. I watched the Brawn documentary earlier this week, and I didn't realise how big things were back in 2009 with the whole breakaway. I mean, I remember it being spoken about, but I never really took it seriously. Honestly, nowadays, the marketing power I think Formula One has, Liberty Media, I think if they broke away from the FIA, then I think there would be an awful lot of following in that direction. And not without reason as well. They would attract the stars, they would attract everything. Well, they're a media company, aren't they? So they would know how to market everything. I think it wouldn't hurt the sport if they did do that. So if things keep going like this with the FIA, I wouldn't be surprised to see talk of it come around again. Alonso is well off the pace. He's not had a good day. Optimal pit stop lap now for Ocon. He's going to go to another set of softs. I mean, imagine if our own mistake gives Ocon a podium in this race. Not even a safety car in this race yet. Ocon comes out in 4th, just ahead of his good friend, his best bud, Max Verstappen. Ocon Alonso 13 seconds off the lead. He's actually being held up by the Alfa Romeo of Piastri. Greg is having a day. That's an inside joke between myself and Tom, by the way. Tom, if you're still in the chat, please explain and enlighten the rest of the chat as to why we call him Greg. If you live in the UK, it's to do with a certain pastry chain outlet. Yeah, it sells various food items. Hamilton and Leclerc are scrapping away at the front. Let's see what's going on here. Leclerc's in the lead, and Hamilton is chasing him on mediums. I mean, just look at that. They're completely equal for tyre wear too. Let's see how that pans out. Might just be a who's got DRS on the last lap sort of thing. Ocon is flying at the moment. This is lap times compared to Alonso. Almost a second faster. That's fine. Alonso, there's no need. He's not going to catch the Red Bulls. Don't think Ocon will catch him really. In any case, we can just ask him not to fight his teammate. Just keep an eye on that at the top there. We're on to the final lap almost. Where are the leaders? They're just coming around the middle sector. Hamilton has the lead. Can he hang on to it? What's the tyre wear like? Leclerc's running out of tyres. Running out of corners to take the lead here. No DRS through the first sector. This is his penultimate chance. Can he do it into the final corner? Charles Leclerc versus Lewis Hamilton. Alright, well, looks like we're going to see something we've never seen before. Lewis Hamilton wins in a Red Bull. That is, wow. Not something you thought you'd see today. Alonso finishes third, Ocon a couple of seconds back. Verstappen finishing another lonely P5. Shout out to Carlos Sainz here, getting a P6 for Alpine.
Really solid race. Good job.
Logan Sargent did not finish in the top 10. He reversed his way out of it. The Haas boys getting themselves some points. I was just about to say that's Logan Sargent, but I think that is Hulkenberg getting out of the Williams. I don't know why we've been showing a Williams. Anyway, Leclerc with another fastest lap. Yeah, we were solidly not fast enough, were we? We were 1.5 seconds slower on our best laps, Alonso versus Leclerc. Tsunoda picks up some more points for Aston Martin. Ricciardo and Stroll double points for Haas. Gasly only 9th. Drivers' Championship, Alonso leads from Hamilton. That, I think, is completely equal. A first and a third each. Is Alonso ahead because he's got the pole position? The 44 looks so wrong on the Red Bull. I know, it just doesn't look right at all, does it? Anyway, there's Verstappen. I can kind of see that. I can kind of see Leclerc in the Red Bull overalls as well. Do you know, Ocon looks pretty good in the Ferrari ones. I mean, they all look. I mean, Sainz doesn't really suit the Alpine ones, Alpine overalls. Apart from that, they all look fairly normal. Albon and the blonde hair and the orange overalls doesn't work for me. That's a bit of a disaster, but that just doesn't look right at all, does it? Just doesn't look right at all. Constructors' Championship, Red Bull have now taken the lead. Yeah, that was the first 2 rounds of... I didn't see that. Did Mercedes get the fastest pit stops? Because that's something I am having a nightmare with. Yeah, Mercedes have got the fastest pit stops. Championship, DHL. That... In my save, Mercedes are so slow. I mean, I know I'm the Mercedes boss, but we're so slow on pit stops. We don't have many errors. That's one good thing. But we are very slow on pit stops, and it costs us positions. Like if we're fighting another team and they pit at the same time, we always lose the position because we're so slow. Anyway, right. I think that'll do for this evening. We'll put the game capture back up. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this first phase of a little experiment. I'm not sure when I'll get time to go live and do this again. My plan at the moment in my head is to do it again next Saturday evening when we've got the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend. So maybe we can discuss qualifying there and the race ahead, although I'm assuming Red Bull will probably be on the front row, so there might not be a huge amount to discuss. But we can maybe just chat F1. That's kind of the whole vibe of this this stream series, which I'm hoping will also be condensed down into some sort of video for maybe around Christmas time, depending on how quickly we get through it. So maybe I do a little bit less focus on the racing. We just let it play out in like time 16 speed and then just sort of chat while we're doing it a bit more. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Yuda back. Sorry, I'm just trying to read your name here. Yuda Bagaskara. What a stream. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed it, unless you've only just turned up and seen me go, well, that's enough for today. I apologise if that's the case, but you can always go back and watch the streams. I'm hoping to edit this down into a full sort of series video as a complete season, maybe for around Christmas time, like I was saying. But thank you to everyone who was in the chat, and thank you for joining me. If you could leave a like on the video, the stream, that would be amazing. I'd be really grateful for that. And again, if you're watching after the fact, leave a comment. Let me know, tell me why you think Alonso's currently P1 and Hamilton isn't, even though they've got exactly the same. Is it that pole position? Wiki Tiki, thank you for the love. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful having you all here. So with that said, I will see you next time, but make sure you are tuning in Monday at 3 o'clock. I know people are at work, but it comes out at 3 o'clock. The season finale for Season 2 of the Mercedes Career Mode. George Russell versus Max Verstappen for the World Championship. George Russell leads by 12 points. He needs third place or better to confirm the World Championship, regardless of what Verstappen does. So I'll see you in the video on Monday, and I will also get cracking on the editing and voicing of Season 3 opening 2 races. So I'll see you then. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. It's goodbye for now. Have a great Las Vegas Grand Prix. See you next time. Bye for now.